So I just came back from running after my dog who bolted out the door, so that was fun. Not really. His name is TARDIS, by the way, in case you didn't know. And I kept thinking maybe he just wants to explore time and space. Hi everyone, welcome to my sixth update for my Doctor Who rewatch. In case you didn't know, I'm rewatching Doctor Who from the 2006 season 1 up until now. I share my progress on Twitter if you want to follow me there, at Sandrine, shameless plug. And in case you missed them, you can also watch my 5 previous updates. I'll put the link in the description. So I'm going to be sharing some thoughts about my experience rewatching season 6, knowing everything that will happen later on. So spoiler alert, if you're not up to date with Doctor Who, let's do it. First, I want to talk about the Christmas special, which is actually one of my favorite Doctor Who Christmas special, A Christmas Carol. I just really love the whole story, but I also particularly love the song that Abigail sings in the end. Abigail, who is played by singer Katherine Jenkins. I've listened to that song so many times. I still listen to it because rewatching it kind of reminded me how much I love this song, and I'm like, oh, I should listen to it again. And so I've just been listening to it on loop a lot. Now moving on to season 6, which is such a good season. Oh my god, so many amazing episodes. Episode 1, we meet the Silence, and also we see the Doctor's death, which of course we then find out was not really his death. But at that point we're like, what is going on? How is the Doctor dying? What? One part that really stood out to me in this episode is when River tells Rory that she's really waiting for the day the Doctor will look at her and not know who she is, and that it would kill her, which it actually kind of did, because the time that she meets the Doctor, the 10th Doctor in the library, and he doesn't know who she is also the day that she dies. So kind of sad and kind of poetic, but you know, that's Doctor Who for you. Episode 2 is all about the Silence, and those guys are creepy. Oh my god. So creepy, because you look at them and you remember them, and then you look away and you're just kind of like going on doing your own thing, which, you know, it kind of messes with your mind when you watch this, because then you think, well, is there something like that in this world? And if there was, we wouldn't know about it, would we? Because we would keep forgetting about them. And I think it's so clever how the Doctor creates some sort of command that we keep forgetting, where they tell us to kill them if we see the Silence. I mean, it's kind of brilliant, because we'll never know that we did it, but also we'll never let them just kind of invade us. Episode 4 is when the TARDIS comes alive and becomes a woman, or actually the TARDIS's soul is transferred into a woman. I love that she says, "Hello, Doctor, it's so nice to meet you." And it's like, oh, they have like, I think it's the first time that we really understand the special relationship and bond that the Doctor has with his TARDIS. Because even though the TARDIS is his spaceship, it is alive, you know? It does take him a lot of the time where he needs to go rather than where he wants to go. You know, it's always there for him. And I particularly loved that the TARDIS also tells Rory the only water in the forest is the river, which now we know is how a river got her name, and that's how it's revealed. But I love how they like sprinkle those hints about it throughout the season for the big reveal. Rewatching it was like amazing, because I think the first time you don't really pay attention, but then when you rewatch it, you're like, holy crap, they like set this stuff up way in advance. Episode 6 is when we get that flesh that is really alive and that the humans use so they can go and do things that might be dangerous for them. So in case they die, it's like, it doesn't matter, it's just flesh. But, you know, flesh is actually alive now, and they're like, hey, we kind of feel what you've been doing to us. Probably the best part of it is when we get a second Doctor, and that Amy is like, I could tell who the real Doctor is. And really, the only reason that she thinks she knows who he is because he has a screwdriver, and I think they exchanged their shoes or something like that, to trick her, because obviously she couldn't know who it is because there's no difference, is the point. And I thought that was really clever, and I love the Doctor for doing that, because I think that just kind of proved the point that, yeah, I'm me. The flesh Doctor is me, and the Doctor is also me. Episode 7 is all about saving Amy, and also the big River Song reveal. Finally, we find out who River Song is after like 3 or 4 seasons, right? Like, we're like, who is she? And turns out she is Melody Pond. And she explains that the language of the forest doesn't have a word for pond because the only water in the forest is the river. Hence River Song. And can I just say how much I love Matt Smith's reaction when he finally figures out who she is, but he doesn't say anything. But he has this whole thing going on inside of him of like, oh no, what? Ah! Because he's realizing that if River is here and is helping them and is okay, that means that he does eventually figure out a way to save Amy and Rory's daughter. So it gives him this new hope. I mean, it's just like, it's brilliant. I love it so much. I think I actually loved this whole storyline better the second time around. Episode 8 is actually the origin story of River Song in a way. Amy and Rory growing up with their friend Mel, who turns out is actually their daughter. In a way that I think that they raised her, or they were there for her, not necessarily as parents, but she was family. Except that, the original purpose of Melody Pond was to destroy the Doctor. Of course, she doesn't end up doing it because after all, she did grow up with Amy and Rory and she is their daughter. It's so interesting how we're piecing together the story of River Song and completely out of order. Like, I'm sure someone did it somewhere, but if not, someone should put together the timeline of River Song, like all the scenes that she's been in chronological order, so we can watch it from Mel to this and then this and then this, and this is everything that happened in order because it's just all over the place. Episode 10 is The Girl Who Waited, with Amy waiting 36 years for Rory and the Doctor to come and get her. And this time I didn't forget to wear my t-shirt called The Girl Who Waited, because last time I was talking about Amy, the girl who waited, but I have a t-shirt and then now I'm wearing it, which actually I feel is more appropriate for this episode. Amy waited quite a long time. In general, she waits for a lot of stuff, but I think this is probably the most heartbreaking one because she really does grow old and alone. And she keeps hoping for them to come, and it's like Castaway. Doctor Who style. And of course, it's really heartbreaking when the Doctor has to lie to Amy, to the old Amy, and close the door and not let her in because it's just, you can't have two Amy's. So do you want the old Amy or the Amy that waited, or do you want the now Amy? Because if you just take the now Amy, the Amy that waited will never exist because you saved her. I mean, it's just kind of like this thing, but at the same time, she's there and she's crying and it's just, it's really emotional, really hard to watch, but such a good episode. Episode 12, Craig is back. And I just wanted to mention that because I actually like him. He's funny. I wish they would bring back James Corden in Doctor Who. That would be kind of fun. Especially now that Peter Capaldi is a doctor. It'd be interesting to be like, Craig, it's me! And it's like, who? Episode 13 is all about saving the Doctor. River Song won't let time move on because if she does, then the Doctor dies. So all the timelines are mixed up and doubled up. And it's actually quite fun to see what would happen if time was kind of stuck and you have all of history happening sort of at the same time. I honestly didn't remember how the Doctor got out of dying. I mean, obviously I knew he didn't die because there is a season 7, 8, etc. I couldn't remember how he did it. And then I was like, oh my God, that's so smart. It's so cool. So it wasn't really the Doctor. It was a doctor wearing a doctor's suit. So he was inside a fake, that machine. I can't remember what they call it, where it's operated by those little people. Same as in the Let's Kill Hitler episode. So even though River Song thought she killed the Doctor, she didn't really. But he's gonna let people think that he's dead, hence why River is in prison. And at night, she kind of gets out. I think this is also the first time that we hear the question, the ultimate question, Doctor Who. And that's how the season ends. Definitely one of my favorite seasons. Next season is the last Matt Smith season. I'm so sad. Oh, I still miss him. I wish they would do another 50th anniversary type episode. It's just celebrated every year.
Sandrine, that's the Christmas episode.
Right.